Okay, so hello guys, this is a RePrep session. That is live evaluation. Okay, so this session is basically developed for the students who are writing mains this year. Okay, so first question we have for this discussion, that is describe the concept of congelifraction and congelifluction. Okay, so this is something which is related to two parts. Okay, first thing is it is related with the freeze thaw cycle. Okay, that is a part of the congelifraction. It is basically the mechanical disintegration of the rocks by the repeated freeze-thaw cycles here. So here it is happening because of the changes in temperature, or we can see ice related to ice and water change. Okay, so this is first part. Now, when we look at the congelifluction, this is basically denotes a we can say here the mass movement. So under the mass movement part here, we have the slow downslope movement of saturated soil. Saturated soil over the permafrost region. Okay, so this is the basic part which we need to discuss in this question. So congelifraction and congelifluction are the movements that mark the movement of deposits in the periglacial setting. Okay, so here we can see that introduction, it is quite good. Okay, we can also relate it with the we can say we have a periglacial cycle of erosion. Okay, so can I ask who has given this periglacial cycle of erosion?
Peltier.
It was
Peltier.
Peltier. Okay, so this is the person which we need to describe here, because he has specifically used the concept of congelifraction and congelifluction in this his cycle of erosion, which we also call it as the cryoplanation, or we also call it as altiplanation. Okay, or also the periglacial cycle of erosion. So this is the basic part here. Now, altiplane that is formed by the congelifraction and congelifluction. Okay, so here it is provided in the diagram. Now, I would like you to make this diagram under the three phase. Okay, so it was following the Davis step. Okay, so first there was upliftment. After upliftment, there was the development of this cycle. Okay, so under this cycle, we'll be seeing that. Okay, so I want to ask you here that in what cycle congelifraction it will dominate, and in what part the congelifluction it will dominate?
Congelifraction would dominate more in the youth and in the youth part of the cycle, and fluction would be more in mature and old age.
Yeah, very good. So here we will be classifying this part, that congelifraction, it will be dominating in the youth stage, while in the mature and old stage, and majorly in the old stage, there will be the congelifluction. It will be dominating here. So now we can explain well that what is happening here. Now, to explain congelifluction more, congelifraction, here we'll be looking at the freeze-thaw mechanism, which is taking place over the rocks, majorly in the colder regions. So here I can see that when the water moves inside the cracks and fractures. So here we have the process of congelifraction, okay, which is resulting into the, we can say, the fragmentation of rock or the weathering of rock here, okay. While we will see in the next part, that is under the congelifraction, there is movement of the soil cover over the permafrost region. So this is the soil cover which is moving over the permafrost region here. Okay, so in this way we can explain this to us. Now, what you have written here, the congelifraction, it is the movement of ice accompanied by stones. This led to abrasion of the landform, causing formation of the pattern ground. This is needed to be rephrased. Okay, with respect to the answer. Just give me a second. Thank you. Okay, so this is needed to be rephrased as per, because congelifraction, it is the weathering phenomenon. Okay, it is the part of weathering. So we will not talk about the movement of the ice. Okay, we will not talk about the stones, and we will talk about that the frost wedging process is taking place here. Okay, so this is needed here. So it leads to plucking of the surface of periglacial areas. So we can put this part. Now, congelifluction, it is the movement of ice, but there is mobility of ice is more. It is fluidic movement. The congelifluction leads to less friction as compared to congelifraction. So here we will be again rephrasing this part, and we will write here more about the soil movement. Basically, it is soil creep. Okay. In very basic term, what we will be calling it, it is the soil creep part here. Okay, which is taking place in the periglacial regions. So abrasion is less, movement is more. Okay, so periglacial landform like Pingu, Tors, pattern grounds, and finally altiplane and cryoplanes are outcomes of the process of movement, which is congelifraction and congelifluction. Okay, so here I can say the conclusion is good. But I can see here that the concept of congelifraction and congelifluction, it is quite intermixed. Okay, so we can work over this part. Okay. Okay, we can use Peltier. We can use this diagram to specify congelifraction and congelifluction. We can specify these diagrams, okay, which will actually give a more clear picture to the evaluator. Okay, be it UPSC or be it anyone else. Okay, the examples are also provided here. Okay, you can give certain more examples which are in Antarctica or Greenland, or we can also take certain areas from, we can say Norway, etc. Okay, also Siberia also, because here these processes are taking place in a very frequent manner. Okay, so this question I can see here that, being very frank, you'll be getting 3.5 out of 10, because inclusion of these aspects, okay, inclusion of the theorist, because it could have been done, you could have again 5.5 to 6 minutes. Okay,